Do you guys want to play a deck whose sole purpose is to just one-punch the opponent out of existence with one single attack? Or I guess two attacks to finish them off? Look no further than Ragnaloard Red. Let's talk about it. Hope you guys are doing well. This week on the channel, I'm going to feature two deck profiles that are making waves in Tier 1 play. By the end of the set 1.5 format, these decks might even just jump up to Tier 1 status, just based on how well they're doing, compared to the other decks. Sure, they're not getting placements like Shine Greymon or Omnimon or Rookie Rush, but they're making waves and they're beating the best decks. The first deck we're going to focus on this week is Red Ragnaloardmon, who I have a positive win rate against all the three top meta decks with this deck. Why? Well, we're going to discuss that in this video. I'm going to go through the deck list, I'm going to go through the cards that are kind of interchangeable, some other thoughts I have, and then talk about the matchups, and hopefully you guys find this informative, and you might want to consider picking up this deck for yourself, because it is really fun, just like dealing 5 security in one attack. It is kind of fun. As a side note, if you're just learning how to play the game, and you're not, too experienced and you want to learn the basics, this is actually a great deck for you. This deck is fairly budget if you play it in the lowest rarity. The deck is also just really easy. It focuses on its evolution stack, and it focuses on getting out your Ragnaloardmon. It's a very easy game plan to get around. It's just build your stack and attack. And honestly, it's a great tool for anyone learning how to play the Digimon TCG. I definitely recommend giving it a try, especially if you are a newer player. You might just like the deck a lot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn that notification bell on to smash potatoes, that way you know when all these amazing Digimon deck profiles are uploaded. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get looking into the deck. As typical, we're going to start off with our babies, and there's really not much change when it comes to the baby lineup in red. We're playing 4 Digimon because it has plus 1,000 as soon as the opponent has 5 or more cards in the trash. And we play Koromon because if it has 4 Digivolution cards, it has plus 1,000. So this is obviously the worst one. This one is live more often, and that's what we gotta say about it. You're just trying to get your plus 1,000 boost, and that's all red babies can do for the most part. We're playing 12 rookies, which doesn't seem like a lot considering we want to get up to our mega, but we're going to explain why it's okay for the deck profile. We start with 4 Zubamon. It has an on-play, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add a Ragnaloardmon and a Legend Arms type from those 5 cards, add into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. So it can add, Ragnaloardmon, which is your boss monster. It can also add something with the Legend Arms type. I don't know if you can see it on this, you probably can't, I don't know. But you can add 2 cards like this. Alternatively, Ragnaloardmon is also a Legend Arms, and you can just add 2 Ragnaloardmons if that's all you have available to you. So it is really cool. You try it on play, you don't really want to evolve it, but you will sometimes, and that's just kind of how it is. Next, we're playing 4 of the Red Star deck Agumon, giving you plus 1,000, really good. And we're playing 4 of a 2-drop, just to have a 2-drop, because there's really nothing else better in this deck. There are other cards you could play, like a couple of the Biomons are good, but I just settled for the 2-drop, because you can choke your opponent with it sometimes, and manipulate memory that way. So I do like this lineup, I think it's perfect, and yeah, it's a little low on rookies, but we'll talk about later why this is okay. We are playing 11 level 4s, starting with Dark Tyrannomon, because it's 1 to evolve. Then we have 4 blockers, because they're blockers. And the last 3 are 2 of the Structure deck Greymon, and 1 Zuba Eagermon. So we all know what Greymon does. It gives your whole Digimon security plus 1 as soon as you evolve on it. Zuba Eagermon is the same thing, but only when you evolve to level 7. So the security plus 1 doesn't trigger until you have Ragnaloardmon on top of this. When it comes to this particular ratio of cards, this is one of my unsure moments, because I just don't know if this is the most correct. I want to play 1 because it is searchable with the Zubamon if you need to play it and search level 4. It also has a 4 play cost, which is good. But this is kind of just better in a sense, because you don't have to be level 5, you don't have to be level 7. So you can attack with some of your bigger level 5s and 6s to take an extra security if it's the right play to do at the right time. Where this is a little more situational. So I think having the 1 just so you can search it, because it is Legend Arms, is appropriate. And I think that because this is the better one, you should play more of it. However, you know, ratios are really tight. It's up in the air. If you played 3 of this, none of that, or 3 of this and none of this, or change it around, I don't think it's a super huge deal in the long, grand scheme of things. But over more games, I was happier to have Greymon over this. And having this in the deck to search it with Zubamon has come up. So I think they're both necessary, but I do think this one is slightly better. That is my opinion, and those are level 4s. We're playing 9 level 5s. We're playing 4 Duramon. It's the same thing as your Zuba Eagermon, this dude. You get security plus 1 when level 7. So it doesn't work until you ride a Ragnaloardmon. But the rest of our level 5s don't have any inheritables that make it worth it. We're playing 2 Lava Garidamon, and we're playing 3 Groundamon. Now we're playing these because they cost 2 to evolve. This particular ratio, though, is very important. You want to get Ragnaloardmon out. You want that to be your main attacker as soon as possible. Because you're playing 12 rookies, you're not going to open a rookie every game. It's just not going to happen. So having a 5 cost level 5 that lets you skip 2 stages in the evolution isn't a bad thing. I would rather hard play this if I'm stuck with no level 3s or 4s than hard play this. This is particularly here because it is an aggressive option. It is 8,000. It can be 9,000 with things like your babies or Agumon. With Greymon, you can give it an extra security, and it can start doing some scary things without having Ragnaloardmon on the field. So we are playing 2 of it, but I think outside, you know, in Red Omnimon, I think this is objectively the correct choice. But in this deck, where you much prefer to attack with Ragnaloardmon and get that gimmick off ASAP, I think you want to play more of this. So I am trying 3 of this and 2 of this. I don't think it's incorrect. I think it's objectively correct, if we're being real here. And in testing, this ratio has not hurt me one bit. And if anything, I'd want to play 4 of this and 1 of this. But I can't deny that this card, Lava Garidamon, sometimes puts some offensive pressure that's just unmatched at that point in the game. So that being said, that's all I got to say. We're going to play 9 of them, and I really, really like this ratio. We also play 9 level 6s. We're starting with 3 Durandamon. It's a Legend Arms level 6. That's 3 to evolve, and it has the inheritable Piercing. It's really good. Next, we're playing this black Digimon, Ragnaloardmon. Also evolves on a red for 3, and it has an inheritable Blocker. We'll talk about some security stacks and some combos later on, but these, you need to have at least 6 of these in your deck. I was playing 4 and 4 at one point, however, that was a little too cloggy, and it really made the deck really, really linear, and really a one-trick pony. I wanted to try a couple other things, so we're only playing 3 and 3, and for the reason I'll explain later, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Ragnaloardmon, this ratio is fine. Next, we're playing 2 Volcanicdramons. This helps with our Rookie Rush matchup. It's also level 6 that we can evolve onto if we need to. The security plus 1 is also nice. It does come up, sure, that's fine. And having other cards to boost its security, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is kind of cool sometimes. But it's mostly there as just a deterrent to being Rookie Rushed, and that's really all that's there for. Our last one is a Phoenixmon. It's because it costs 2 to evolve. Sometimes you won't have 3 memory to work with to evolve into one of these, and then your Ragnaloardmon. So having the 1 random 2 cost, and it's 12,000, like all of these are by the way, except Volcanicdramon, it does come in handy. But I don't really need more than this. I think 1 is perfectly fine. Anyway, that's it for that. The only level 7s we're playing are for Ragnaloardmon. This is your big boss monster. So what makes this card shine? It's a level 7 14,000, which isn't bad. By itself, it has security plus 1, and it has reboot. So, you know, it attacks for a lot of damage, and it reboots, which is really cool. The when Digivolving gimmick is what makes this deck really fun. When you evolve it, you can place a Durandamon or a Ragnaloardmon underneath it to get 3 memory back. One of these dudes. So let's say, you know, you evolve into this for 3 on your turn. You evolve into this. It puts your opponent probably over there to their memory side. But after the Digivolve, you can use this effect and play Durandamon underneath it. Or even another one of these if you have it, whatever. But then you get that 3 memory back, and then you can swing with it immediately. And all of a sudden, you have a security attack plus 1 with reboot with either piercing or blocker, or both. So that's kind of insane. That's the main gimmick behind the Ragnaloardmon deck. When you evolve into it, odds are your turn doesn't end. You get a big attack, and that's it. So this deck is really simple. It is really the one-trick Ragnaloardmon pony, and the other cards are there to kind of support it. Ultimately, this is what you want to get out, and when you get this out and you swing with it the same turn, you are in a very good spot. Just saying. That's it though for our Digimon. For our options, we're playing 2 Gaia Force because you don't want to clog. Deck space is really tight as it is, and yeah, destroying Digimon is cool, but attacking them for all their securities is a little cooler in my opinion. So with 2 of them is good because it's good to have, but I don't want 4. And the last 3 cards are 3 the Tai Kamiya. Start your turn with 3 memory, and it gives you security +1 if you have 4 more Digivolution sources. You also play for free if it's in security, that's cool. But I think you guys can kind of understand where we're going with this, and I want to show you guys some quick combos and some stacks and everything you need to know. On the board you see are all the cards that are really pertinent to making this deck as powerful as it is. You want to start with your baby, doesn't really matter which one for the sake of this example, we'll just assume it's this, and that's okay. You want to get Agumon on it to get that +1000 and get a +1000. You want to get one of these 2 on it to have that security +1 when you get to Ragnaloardmon. For the sake of the example, it doesn't really matter. And then you want to have your Duramon on top. And usually at this point, it's probably your opponent's turn when you have this on the field, and that's kind of okay. You also want to have Tai Kamiya on board. It's not a bad turn at all. If the very first turn of the game, you evolve into a rookie, draw a card, play Tai for 4, honestly, it's not a bad turn. It's one of the best turns that you can actually start in the deck. So you kind of want to get this set up if you can. So now, once you have your level 5 in play with your Tai, your turn starts, you have 3 memory, you go ahead and you evolve into one of these, you draw a card, you're at 0 memory, then you evolve into Ragnaloardmon, give your opponent 3, you use its ability to play your Durandamon underneath it, and you get your 3 memory back, so it is still your turn. So your stack right now is +1000, +1000, +1 security, +1 security, blocker, piercing. By itself, it has security attack 1 and blocker, and this gives us security attack +1. So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but because of this stack, we have 5 security being checked when this attacks. It's got blocker when it reboots, it has piercing so it can attack a Digimon as well, and it's 16,000. That's the gimmick of this deck. It's super silly, it's really funny. You can pull this off, and yeah, you kind of just win the game, to be real, if you get it off. In the topic of getting off, one last thing I want to mention before we talk about the matchups is you don't really mind building your stack like this in the breeding area. That way it's not in danger from anything that can remove it, like a Chimeramon in purple, or Trump Sword, or Gaia Force, or a Blitzgreymon, or Nomnimon, or literally anything that can destroy things, remove things, de-evolve things. Nothing in yellow. If you keep it safe and you have a tile on the field, then you just wait until you have your cards. And then you just promote it, you do the thing, and you kind of win the game. So it's very important. I just wanted to mention that. And now that I have, let's talk about the matchups. So let's talk about the matchups real quick. Against Rookie Rush, you're going to be aggressive against the Rookie Rush player in the form of you're going to make some swings, hopefully with a Greymon security stack, with Lava Garidamons, and even your level 6s of Volcanic Dramon. Volcanic Dramon is really good in this matchup, because the opponent still needs to play things with 4,000 or less DP, so you can use that to board wipe them sometimes. And besides that, a Ragnaloardmon can just tear through the security stack of a Rookie Rush deck, no problem. If you can hold back, if you're able to do that based on how they're playing, you just wait, you build your stack, and then you punch them in the face. And that's just really the best way to beat Rookie Rush. It's actually kind of easy. Shangreymon is a very interesting matchup because, the further down in the security you put them, the higher chance they have of winning. But this deck is really fast, which is where it really shines against Shangreymon, because it's more of a slow deck. If you can build your Ragnaloardmon stack, and you might even want to do this in the breeding area, not necessarily on the field where they can kill it with a Slash Andromon or something. If you can bring it out and just deal, 4 damage with it, 5 damage with it right away, it doesn't really matter too much, because then you're going to potentially leave them with lethal, and they might not be able to follow up. So that's really important. Don't attack the opponent until you're ready to just take all their securities in one shot, or most of them in one shot, and then be able to build a board that's kind of formidable. Finally, Red Omnimon, I think, is the toughest matchup because it does kind of what this deck wants to do, only it has Omnimons and Blitzgraymons and stuff like that. So I think the game plan is also to keep your Ragnaloardmon stack in the breeding area while you're, floating the board around with other things. Leaving it in the breeding area doesn't make it susceptible to things like Blitzgraymon or Omnimon. So if you can wait until you have the setup, and then you bring it out the turn it's ready to have a Ragnaloardmon attack, you're going to get the most value out of it. Kind of like Shine Greymon. You're just keeping it safe until it's ready to do all that big damage. And then by that point, they're in trouble. Once again, hopefully you guys found this informative. On Thursday or Friday, we're going to have another deck profile that I think is just as good as this deck. I've never actually tried to find those two decks next to each other, and they're a surprise. So look forward to it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.